I guess we need to start at the very beginning. I was always a very unsporty kid growing up. I genuinely did not have an athletic bone in my body. I was a theatre kid. I loved performing, singing, dancing. I was in every single musical. I think that I had this idea that you were either sporty or you were either artsy, because you literally couldn't do both. After school, you either went to rehearsals or you went to practice. And I think as a young girl who didn't feel super confident in her body, who wasn't naturally good at sports, but naturally was good at theatre, that just felt like the obvious choice for me. During our off season, when we didn't have a musical, I did try to join some sports teams, and let's just say I wasn't very good. I was the only player on the team that was never allowed to play in a game. So anyways, fast forward, I leave school, I get to uni, I really struggle with my body confidence. I go through a horrible breakup, and that leads me into like 4 months of no eating. I lose a lot of weight. I start eating again. I gain all that weight. I go to the gym a lot more and I do become more active, but still I'm never involved in any sports. I don't feel like it's a place for me. It's quite intimidating. So enter kind of my gym era. The gym did feel a bit like a safe space for me because I don't think I needed to be athletic per se. I enjoyed the feeling of being able to do something. This really continued into my early 20s, and then a big shift happened. I think a lot of people start running when there's a big change in their life, when they're going through a particularly tough period. And I think that that is kind of the beauty of running, that running finds you. You don't really find running. That's a bit gross to say. I was living abroad. I didn't have many friends. I was very lonely. I was working a job and the company went bankrupt. Literally one day to the next, lost my job, and I was feeling a little bit depressed, a little bit sad. I need something to fill my time. I don't have money now to afford my gym membership, and I want to stay fit. I want something to look forward to. Running. The thing that's crazy is I hadn't ever run a day in my life before, so it's not like I was at all familiar with running. I also wasn't even yet on like social media. I wasn't watching running videos. I downloaded Nike Run Club and I saw that there was a run on there that said your first run, and I think it was a 20-minute run. I remember looking at that thinking, as if I'm gonna be able to run for 20 minutes straight. I went online and I googled how to start running, and obviously a lot of things were just run. Dug a little bit deeper, and then I found that people were saying, well, you need to start slowly. How do you do that? I went outside, started my Nike Run Club, 20-minute run, and I literally just started going very, very, very slowly. I was on a path where people were walking and we were literally going at the same pace. Now, we are 2.5 years since that moment and I have achieved a lot. I've ran 1 marathon, 3 half marathons. I've worked with running brands. I've had some very cool campaigns. I've started my own run club for people like me. Don't feel like they are sporty or competitive, but just want to feel included in the running space. I am on a mission now to make people feel like they have a space in sports, to make people understand that just because you don't come from a sporty background does not mean that you can't participate in sports. The bit about my journey that I do struggle to speak about is how it's changed my life, me, and my body specifically. With my body, I think that within the 2.5 years, I've gone through periods of weight loss, weight gain, and obviously maintenance. Running really threw a spanner in the works because you get hungry. Originally, when I started running, I did lose quite a lot of weight. I was just exercising more than I ever was. And to be honest, it wasn't just the weight loss, because I don't think the scale went down hugely, but my body shape changed. I just looked a little bit more athletic. When I started running, it was the summer. I was outdoor in the sun. My hair was getting blonder, my skin was getting tanner, and people were noticing too. They were saying, you look so good. And I was like, you know, it's just the running. But then I started marathon training, and that is when things shifted. I think that that made me go the other way. When I was marathon training, I had come out of years of dieting and restrictive eating, and suddenly I was so hungry, and also I guess I felt like I had an excuse to eat because I was like, well, I'm marathon training, so I'm gonna eat. That kind of led me into a little bit of binge eating. I would finish a really long run and I would want to eat after. I would eat like the equivalent of 3 meals in a row with desserts, with all the fixings. And I really felt like that was justified because I was training for a marathon. But what I wasn't realizing was that wasn't good for me. I felt sluggish. I felt like I had a lot of brain fog. My skin was breaking out. I didn't feel myself. You know, there's a balance, and I do struggle to find that balance. I don't think I'm a great intuitive eater. I don't really know when I'm hungry. I don't really know what I'm craving. Running has changed my life in so many ways. It has given me a crazy amount of confidence. I think it taught me for the first time since maybe doing theatre that I can achieve amazing things, that I can do things I set my mind to. Obviously, I started posting on social media. I started growing my TikTok, my Instagram, and being able to share my story, interact with others, start my own run club, see people in person. All of that has made me a more confident person. I've met community through it. I've made friends. I've obviously built a job out of it, which is super cool. Running gives me something that nothing else has been able to give me. It gives me a clearer mind. It gives me an excuse to get outside and be in fresh air. It makes me work hard. I mean, never before have I put my body and my mind through some of the stresses that running has put me through, and still do it day in and day out. Now, I realize that watching this, you may think, how do I start running? So I want to share with you just some of my favorite beginner running tips that really helped me. Obviously, number one, run slowly. Now, I have some videos on my social media explaining what this is. This is not just jogging, because jogging is arbitrary. This is running so slowly that you can hold a conversation. You should be able to pick up the phone and talk to someone. The second thing I would say, which is kind of along the same lines, is controlling your breathing, because you will only have a good run if you can breathe. As simple as that. Now, the tip that I've always heard is 2 breaths in the nose, 2 breaths out the mouth. I have never been able to breathe through my nose on a run. I always breathe out my mouth. So my tips are more just make sure you're breathing deeply and slowly. And if you find yourself out of control, stop running and go. That resets your system, tricks your body into thinking, oh, this is actually easy, and you will be absolutely fine. I do think you need good running shoes to be able to run, especially if your body is not used to running. And I think it's so individual to you. Something that I did in the beginning of my running journey was I set myself a month. I said, if I'm still running at the end of this month, if I go through a whole month of being dedicated to running, I'll treat myself to some good running shoes. It makes sure that you're in it, and it gives yourself something to really look forward to. If you start running now and you're running consistently in a month, you will have improved quite a lot. I wouldn't leave it longer than a month, because I do feel like not wearing good running shoes will cause a lot of injuries. I would always suggest going to a running shoe store, seeing if you can get a free gait analysis. If not, just hearing what they have to say, get tips from them. There's a load of tips revolving running shoes, what you need, how you run in them, how you tie your shoelaces. So I would always suggest going to a running shoe store versus just like buying them online. The other thing I will say is get a training plan. I'm a runner ambassador, but I started, for example, with Nike Run Club. There are so many training plans that are free, paid, personalized, not personalized. See what you want to do. Getting something that will tell you what to do each day is so helpful, because if I'm not using a running plan and I am just going out there and just saying to myself like, oh, what am I going to do today? How far am I going to run today? I just don't feel like I have the discipline to do that. Last tip, honestly, is cliche, but go easy on yourself. Please go easy on yourself. Running is not something that comes naturally to people. Even the best athletes out there struggle to run. If you are very slow, if you can't go for longer than a minute, your legs are in pain, whatever it may be, that is part of the journey. Please, please don't be upset with yourself, because that is the thing that will make your running that much harder. As I always say, running is just not that deep. Running is so much fun. It can give you so much if you just let it. And I'm trying to build this community now of more inclusive runners, people that recognize that we do have a space in the running world, even if we're not great at it, and to not be embarrassed about not being good at it. And it's always better to run and not be good at it than to not run at all. So I hope that gives you a little bit more insight into my journey and motivates you to start running if you haven't tried it yet. I do think it really will change your life. So if you can take anything from this video, just start running.